Welcome to the mother relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. The latest from Steffi Bull, former champion Terry Harper's handler, who said, "Our two-weight world champion Terry Harper is back in full training. We've made the decision to take it back to where it all started with PD Oasis, and they've kindly joined back on the team. We have made the decision to drop back down to Terry's natural fight weight, and moving forward, she will be pursuing championship fights in the lightweight division. I'm more than confident she will regain her form in the lower weights like she did on her amazing super featherweight reign." Belter Fight News to follow up. So Terry Harper made the same jump in weight that Natasha Jonas made, a domestic rival. She moved up from super feather all the way up to junior middle. Won a title up there. Things got kind of dry up there. She couldn't get a unification match, so she decided she's going to drop down to welter, to 147. Challenged Sandy Ryan for her WBO title, but Sandy proved to be too big and too strong for Terry. You may be asking yourself, well, if she's campaigned north of 147, how could a 147-pounder be too big for her? Well, it's because the talent pool at 154 ain't all that deep. Yeah, the girls are big, but they're not as well schooled as Sandy Ryan. Sandy's got size and skill. She was way too strong for Terry Harper. She ragdolled Terry Harper, beat her from pillar to post in a short amount of time. Now Terry's dropping past 140, down to 135. In my previous video, I talked about how Katie Taylor's still in possession of 2 alphabet titles at this weight, even though I don't think she's coming back to this weight. She's still holding a WBC and the WBA titles. Right. So what I think they're going to try to do for Terry is get her in position to win one of those titles, presumably the WBA title. I think they're going to shoot for that. Why not the WBC? Because Carolyn Dubois is already in line to fight for the WBC title. Thus, I think Matchroom might try to get Terry the WBA title. Ranked at number 1 is Canada's own Jessica Kamara, WBA gold champion. She's in possession of a lesser version of the full title. She's actually got a fight coming up. If she gets through it over the summer months, I could see the people at Matchroom setting up a fight between Terry and Jessica. Ranked at number 2 is the United States' own Stephanie Hahn, the younger sister of former IBF champion Jennifer Hahn. I could see Terry Harper fighting her. I could see her fighting Stephanie. I could also see Terry Harper fighting the number 4 ranked Delar Kisikio, or the number 5 ranked Hyun-Mi Choi, former champion Hyun-Mi Choi, who lost her last fight to Jessica Kamara. I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to try to get Terry Harper a title first. And if she can procure that title, the WBA title, then what they're going to do is try to do a unification match between Terry and Rhiannon Dixon. You're saying all this, but Terry Harper doesn't appear anywhere in the WBA's ranked standings at 135. That can change. All I gotta do is get her a fight with one of the girls that are ranked there, and before you know it, she'll be ranked there. Money talks. And Matchroom has got it. To make things happen for Terry Harper, the 2-division champion who's still vying to become a 3-division champion. And at lightweight, I think she can do it. I think they'll go after the WBA. If they do, that would have to mean that Matchroom is in control of this division. That for the most part, Matchroom has most, if not all of the belts, most, if not all, of the champions. They're getting their pieces on the board in position. Beatrice has got the IBF, Rhiannon's got the WBO. I think very soon Terry Harper will have the WBA. I know she got knocked out in her last fight. I understand that. But Terry has had a very successful boxing career so far for someone who's so young and someone who doesn't have a deep amateur background. Because she doesn't. Terry's not an Olympian. She's not some amateur upstart, but she's done very well for herself when you look over her resume, her body of work, the people she's fought, the fights she's won, even the fights that she's lost. There's no shame in it. Got a solid resume. Does the descent hurt Terry Harper? Dropping down again. She already dropped from 154 down to 147. Now she's going from 147 to 135. Does this hurt her? It could. There is a chance that it could. So she's got to do it right, and she's got to do it gradual. Terry's not a big woman. She's got a bit of height and a bit of length, but overall, her frame. Terry's not a big woman. So she'll be boiling down to 135 moving forward. We'll see how she makes it, and we'll see if they can't get her another alphabet title. What I think is going to be the WBA title. Only time will tell. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, as it pertains to this weekend's fight, this weekend's lightweight contest between Gervonta Davis and Frank Martin, for some reason, Arnold Barboza wants the winner, making his call on who that will be.
What?
Like most of the boxing world, Arnold Barboza is a very interested observer in Saturday night's Gervonta Tank Davis versus Frank Martin lightweight showdown. The clash placed at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. The fight will be distributed by Amazon Prime as part of their output deal with Premier Boxing Champions. Both Davis and Martin fight under the PBC banner. That is going to be a really good fight, Barboza told Boxing Scene. Martin is a good fighter, but I don't know. I think Tank's power might be the difference. I think Tank by way of knockout.
That's how most people have it.
Barboza is currently ranked at number 1 by way of the WBO at super lightweight and would love to welcome Davis back to the division if he is victorious against Martin. Of course I want to fight him. I want to fight the best. I would love to fight the winner of that fight, Barboza stated. Davis has fought in the division once. In June of 2021, about 3 years ago, when he stopped Mario Barrios in 10 rounds, capturing a WBA regular title, emphasis on regular.
Reggie.
It's important to note that that was the regular title, because at the time, Josh Taylor had the full title. At the time, he was undisputed champion.
Mario was just holding a trinket. He was a trinket title holder.
Not a full title holder, not a full champion, but Gervonta Davis thought enough to fight him.
If only he were that way with actual champions, full champions like the ones at 140.
The ones at 135.
Arnold would like to fight him.
If he wins this weekend, Arnold wants to fight Gervonta Davis, but want doesn't always get. If full-fledged champions and bigger names, more notoriable fighters than Arnold Barboza have had no luck getting Gervonta Davis in the ring, Arnold will have no luck getting Gervonta in the ring.
Sorry.
Oh, because you want a Gervonta Davis fight.
Hey, I want to motorboat Billie Eilish's breasts. Want doesn't always get.
Comprendo, friendo.
So 1 or 2 days ago, Arnold Barboza was going back and forth with Jack Catterall, who's coming off that big win over Josh Taylor, that revenge win, and these two entered into negotiations.
Arnold and Jack.
Jack accused Arnold of asking for too much money, in essence, overshooting it, overstating his value. I happen to agree with Jack, even though I don't know the exact dollar amount, because Arnold asserts that he's the A-side over Jack Catterall.
No, you're not.
When they were going back and forth, that's what was being said. Arnold Barboza claimed that he's the A-side fighter over Jack because he's the unbeaten fighter and he's ranked at number 1 by way of the WBO. But I said it then. None of those things make you the A-side fighter over Jack Catterall. Jack's got a signature win over Josh Taylor. What have you got?
An overinflated sense of self? A gift decision over Sean McComb?
Saw Arnold in his last fight. He didn't look too good in his last fight. He didn't. Some people thought he lost. He lost to Sean McComb. Make of that what you will. But it does seem that progress has been made.
Oh?
Arnold Barboza said, "My team is working on this deal, and I will see you in August."
Good.
Rumors abound. The Jack Catterall versus Arnold Barboza fight would go down August 24th in Manchester, in Jack Catterall's neck of the woods, not Arnold Barboza's, because it's not Arnold's team footing the bill. They're not paying for the fight. Jack's team is paying for the fight. Matchroom is paying for the show. So what do you mean you're the A-side?
Cut it the fuck out, Arnold.
Stop it.
But why are Team Catterall going after Arnold Barboza? He's not a big name.
It's because of where he's ranked. It's because he's ranked at number 1 by way of the WBO. Thus, he's in a pole position to challenge the WBO champion. And the WBO champion is Teofimo Lopez, who Jack Catterall has been pursuing. Very recently, Jack Catterall stated that he would prefer to fight Teofimo Lopez over Regis Prograis, even though the Regis Prograis fight would be easier to make, because both he and Regis are promoted by Matchroom. He still wants to go after Teofimo, and in order to get to Teofimo, he figures he's got to go through Arnold, because Arnold's ranked at number 1 by way of the WBO.
You got it?
Jack Catterall is one of the division's hottest properties. After avenging his controversial loss to former undisputed champion Tosh Jailer with an exciting decision victory last month, his manager, Sam Jones, told Boxing Scene that while the Prograis name has been mentioned, their aim is to position Catterall for a fight with WBO champion Teofimo Lopez. It's been briefly spoken about, he said. It's a big fight if it happens, but the numbers would need to make sense for Jack. It's no secret that my aim is to get Jack a world title opportunity. We want Teofimo Lopez, which I think is realistic towards the end of this year. But in the meantime, we could fight Arnold Barboza to secure a mandatory shot. Jack's got lots of options on the table, so it's an exciting time for him. He deserves to be in this position.
You got it?
They want mandatory status via the WBO because they figure Teofimo won't give Jack the time of day, not willingly. They have to force him to do it, and in order to do that, they have to go through Arnold.
Arnold isn't that big a puncher, neither is Jack. If the fight between them happens, it likely goes to a decision. That's how it looks. And if it goes to the cards, if it goes to a decision, Jack will have home field advantage. Something you want to keep in mind.
That Arnold Barboza is not so big a puncher that he can take it out of the judge's hands, and he didn't look good in his last fight with Sean McComb.
The end game is a Teofimo Lopez fight. That's what it's all about.
Jack wants to get him in the ring. Thinking about it, Lopez versus Catterall is certainly a better fight than Lopez versus Claggett, Steve Claggett, who Teofimo's about to fight. So we'll see if that's how the chips stack up towards the end of this year. Can Jack get there?
The wheels are in motion. We'll see if he can.
And finally, in men's cruiserweight news,
Opetaia.
possible Jai Opetaia opponents, options offered by His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. Jai's coming off his second win over former champion Maris Briedis on the Fury vs. Usyk undercard, cementing his name as one of the top cruiserweights in the division. To me, the top cruiserweight in the division. Later in an interview, Opetaia told one of three potential opponents that Turki Al-Sheikh has offered him. Asked about potential opponents, Opetaia welcomed a fight with the Mexican monster David Benavidez. If he moves up to cruiserweight, Jai is warning him. If he wants to come to cruiserweight, he can come get it. Cruiserweight is my division. Recently, David Benavidez entertained the idea that he might move up to cruiserweight after he does whatever he does at light heavyweight when he sat down with Henry Cejudo and Kamaru Usman. He said that he might go up there, and the number one cruiserweight right now is Jai Opetaia, so of course he's keeping an ear out for what high-profile fights may land in that division, and that would be one of them. You know, David Benavidez versus Jai Opetaia, that would move the needle. I think that would get the boxing community's attention, but I don't think we're on the eve of that fight, and I don't think David Benavidez had Jai Opetaia in mind when he said that. I've been telling you throughout. I think if he goes up there, the guy he's looking for is Zurdo Ramirez, because Zurdo, like David, used to campaign at 168, used to campaign at 175, now he's WBA champion at cruiserweight. That if David was thinking about somebody when he said that, it wasn't Jai Opetaia.
So I don't know how realistic that fight is.
Now, the fight that Jai Opetaia is entertaining is an Usyk fight. Jai Opetaia said, I would love to fight Usyk. I've always been so close to him. When I was 16, I qualified for the Olympics. I competed at 17, little kid, and he won that same Olympics. I've always been there. It wasn't my time yet, but I feel like my time is coming, and one day I will be able to face him. Whether or not this will happen at heavyweight or cruiserweight is unknown, as Opetaia will aim to move up to heavyweight once he's collected all the belts at cruiser, whilst Usyk aims to move back down to cruiser, suggesting his goal is to become a two-time undisputed cruiserweight champion and undisputed heavyweight champion. To me, this seems to be a more realistic fight than a David Benavidez fight. I think it's more realistic.
There's not much left for Usyk to do at heavyweight. Fight Tyson Fury for a second time, then what?
And then what? The landscape at cruiserweight has changed considerably since Usyk was last there, and I'd give him decent odds to beat most, if not all, of the champions at that weight. So it seems palpable to me, because Usyk wants to go there, and Jai wants an Usyk fight.
I feel like that could happen.
Another potential opponent option for Jai Opetaia is Dimitri Bivol. Opetaia stated he would love to share the ring with Dimitri Bivol, who said himself that Opetaia may be a potential opponent after his undisputed light heavyweight clash with Artur Beterbiev. This weekend sees fellow cruiserweights Chris Billam-Smith and Richard Riakporhe clash for Chris Billam-Smith's WBO title. Could the winner face Opetaia soon?
Thinking about Bivol as an option for Jai, I suppose that could happen, because if Dimitri beats Artur, there's not a whole lot left to do at light heavyweight, is there?
But I've always wrestled with the idea of Dimitri campaigning as a cruiserweight, because he's really not that big a guy. He's not that big a light heavyweight. how would he fare at cruiser? And at light heavyweight, he's not all that heavy-handed a puncher. He really isn't.
So how would he fare at cruiser?
I mean, he's one of the most skilled guys out there. I think that goes without saying that in terms of nuts and bolts boxing and fundamentals, Dimitri is highly skilled. But I don't know that he has the frame to campaign as a cruiserweight. That's a very intriguing idea.
Bivol versus Opetaia.
It was later revealed that Turkey offered Jai Opetaia a Canelo fight at a catchweight. The Sheik actually asked me, he rang me and said, would you fight Canelo? He said like 175 pounds, and I wouldn't be able to make anything lower than cruiser. The jump from 79 kilos to 91 is ridiculous.
Why would Turkey have it in his head that Canelo's gonna go to cruiser?
It's likely because well over a year ago, the Canelo team were entertaining a Lunga Makabu fight. Lunga Makabu, then WBC champion. But if you know Lunga, you know that Lunga's not that big a guy. He was actually on the smaller end of the spectrum as far as cruiserweights go, and he's a limited guy too in terms of nuts and bolts boxing. Skill, that there was enough angling there that him and Canelo might be alright, though ultimately that never materialized. It was just a passing thought.
That people still bring it up is beyond me, because I don't think Canelo's got any plans to go to cruiserweight.
Not after what Canelo Alvarez suffered at the hands of Dimitri Bivol at light heavyweight. I think he has no intention of going past light heavy into cruiser. In today's cruiserweight division, frankly, Canelo is too small, and there's no shame in that.
Canelo's too small to go up to cruiserweight to meet Jai, and Jai is too big to go down to meet Canelo at light heavyweight or at a catchweight.
Not a good idea. Not a good fight. Some of these options are more realistic than others, and some are more intriguing than others, though ultimately, what I would like to see Jai Opetaia do the most is unify his division, that if we're going to entertain potential opponent options for Jai Opetaia, it should be Noel Gavor, reigning WBC Cruiserweight Champion, or Zurdo Ramirez, WBA Champion, the winner of this weekend's fight, the WBO Champion, whoever it turns out to be. Those are the fights I really want to see Jai in. These opponent options are creative, some more interesting than others, and intriguing.
But what I want to see Jai do the most is unify this division, become its undisputed champion. Let's get that done.
You know, Noel Gavor, he was supposed to be fighting Ryan Rositsky on the undercard of Broner versus Cobbs. Whenever he's all healed up and he can come back, make a fight between him and Jai. Or what about Zurdo and Jai?
Make those guys fight.
Granted, I think it would take a lot of money to get Zurdo in the ring with Jai Opetaia, but Turkey has a lot of money, and he spends a lot of money to make these big fights happen, so make that one happen.
Let's get a tournament going.
A la the World Boxing Super Series, the Cruiserweight Tournament. I loved that thing. We could use another one. That's honestly what I want to see the most for Jai.
Unifications.